Ever notice how the media just can't help but twist a story to push an agenda? We've reached a point where they're now calling gang and street beef mass shootings. Not just shootings, mass shootings. It's like calling a bar fight a domestic terror event because more than 2 chairs got thrown. Case in point, a recent shooting in North Carolina.
But first, we are staying on top of breaking news this morning out of Catawba County, where we are live on the scene of a mass shooting.
News anchor says 12 people were shot at a party, 1 dead, 11 injured. Everyone immediately jumps to label it a mass shooting. Now look, 12 people being shot is horrible, no matter what the reason is. But calling this a mass shooting in the same breath as Uvalde or Vegas, that's not just dishonest, it's dangerous. Because what you're doing is blurring the line between very different problems that require very different solutions. See, I came across this story while doing what I always do when news breaks. I hit up Ground News. If you don't know what it is, Ground News isn't like the usual news apps that just shove whatever biased headline they want in your face. It actually shows you how different news outlets from far left to far right to the center are covering the same exact story. And when I click the bias comparison tab for this one story here, here's what I saw. Left-leaning coverage distinctly frames the North Carolina shooting as a mass shooting. Meanwhile, right-leaning headlines use words like rocked and tried to frame it around youth violence and community unrest, but still called it a mass shooting. That's why I use Ground News, because it cuts through all the BS and gives you the context you're not gonna get from cable news. It's not just about seeing headlines, it's about seeing how those headlines are constructed and why they're doing it. And here's where Ground News really sets itself apart. Their biased distribution tool shows you whether a story leans left, right, or center. So you're not just swallowing whatever narrative the media wants to push that day. The blind spot feature literally shows you which stories the left or right are ignoring altogether. So when one side pretends something never happened, Ground News calls it out. And my personal favorite, the Google Chrome extension. You're scrolling a headline, boom. You get to see how 5 other outlets are spinning the exact same story. Like having 5 people tell you the same story, except one leaves out the part where they started the fight and the other one makes themselves sound like the hero. If you're tired of being manipulated by biased reporting, go to ground.news/Colion and subscribe. You'll get 40% off their Vantage subscription with my link, which gives you unlimited access to everything I just mentioned. Not only will you get a better, more honest view of the news, you'll also be supporting my work directly. So again, that's ground.news/Colion. Click the link in the description, subscribe, and start seeing both sides of the story. Now, back to the media manipulation. Let's be real. This wasn't some random psychopath trying to take out as many innocent people as possible. This was beef, street beef, gang beef, pool party beef, whatever flavor you want to call it. It wasn't a mass shooting. Even the officer said, "We don't believe there's any danger to the public." This seemed focused around the party.
We don't know of any danger to the community or to the general public. This does seem to be something that had some focus associated with that party.
Translation: this wasn't a random act of violence. It was targeted. There was intent behind it, but not the kind of intent that defines a mass shooting. A mass shooting is when someone walks into a mall, a school, or a movie theater with the goal of killing as many innocent strangers as possible. There's no specific target. It's chaos for the sake of chaos. Gang violence is personal. It's I want that guy dead, and maybe some others who are standing next to him. Yeah, sometimes innocents get caught in the crossfire, but the intent isn't to just wipe out random people. That distinction matters. But the anti-gun lobby doesn't want nuance. Nuance doesn't sell gun control. So what do? They redefine what mass shooting is. Instead of focusing on intent, they focus on body count. That way, they can lump in every drive-by, every drug deal gone wrong, every gang hit and say,
"See, another mass shooting. We need more gun laws."
And the media plays along like a trained circus clown. Why? Because calling it a mass shooting creates fear, and fear makes people more willing to give up their rights. But here's the dirty little truth. If you want to avoid gang violence, stay the hell away from the places where gang violence happens. It's not that hard. It's usually hyper-local, tied to certain blocks, communities, or people who live that life. Mass shootings, you can't predict those. They happen in movie theaters, elementary school, churches, places where people aren't expecting violence. And that's the difference. That's the key difference. By lumping them together, the media and the anti-gun politicians get to inflate the numbers, stoke the panic, and pretend like you're just as likely to get shot at brunch as you are in the middle of a gang war. And don't think this is just about language. This redefinition has real consequences because if you don't separate these types of violence, you can't fix them. Street violence needs different solutions than random acts of terror. You can't community outreach your way out of a mass shooter, and you can't stop gang violence with magazine bans and red flag laws. But if everything is just a mass shooting, well then every solution can be the same convenient gun control law they've been trying to push for the last 30 years.
Message.
That's the game they're playing, and that's why I'm calling it out. So stop calling every shooting a mass shooting. Stop erasing context to push your politics, and stop insulting the intelligence of people you claim you're trying to protect. Because while the media is busy cooking up terms, real people are dying, and the policies they push won't save a single one.